Comedian Chris Rock is on a publicity tour promoting his new film, Top 5, and he's been asked a lot for his reactions to what's gone on in Ferguson and about racism. Here's part of the discussion he had with Mo Rocca on the magazine program CBS Sunday Morning.
Do you think that people are too careful when they talk about race?
It's not that I think that people are too careful when they talk about race. I think people in general are just too quick to call things racist. Sometimes people say things that are racist are just out of not knowing any better. And once they know better, they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that offended you like that.
And you think that sometimes behavior like that is branded as racist?
Racist or homophobic or, anti-Semitic or whatever, just people not knowing.
And that sometimes bottles them up. And then
Of course that bottles them up or makes them actually become racist. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, hey, I was just asking a question and I got beat up by all these people.
Chris Rock said in part of that interview that his dream job would be to become a correspondent for 60 Minutes and that he would want to do a lot of in-depth reporting on race. And had he had the opportunity to go to Ferguson, he'd want to interview all Caucasian people.
Well, I mean, that's what I would have liked to have seen. I mean, go out and ask them questions, and that was done by a lot of news outlets. There were news outlets that went to Ferguson and talked to the white residents who live in Ferguson and get their opinions about what was going on and how it was going to impact. So that was being done. But the one thing I liked about there was a longer piece that was done by Frank Rich
in New York Magazine.
In New York Magazine with Chris Rock,
yeah,
where he talked about racism being a issue for whites as opposed to blacks, and the fact that we need to have more reporting done about how whites feel about these things as opposed to when the issues of race, Ferguson, Trayvon Martin, you can go on, we usually go to blacks. Well, most of the time we know what those answers are going to be. It's going to the other side that he was bringing out, we need to talk about. And that racism is not just a black problem, it's a white problem.
Well, and one of the things that Chris Rock had said in there was that some of the progress we've seen as a country is because whites are, in his words, less crazy than they used to be. The Washington Post's Wonk blog went and actually did some statistical analysis of that, also available on the Links blog at KBIA.org, and kind of showed that maybe there's some truth behind it.
No, I think it's pretty hard to argue with that statement that anybody who's talking about black progress is making the wrong argument. It's about whites are making progress and that they're a little less crazy about race than they used to be. I think that's probably true. And it's interesting to me. You look at this story, you look at the Bill Cosby story, now with comedians coming out and basically breaking the story wide open. We've praised Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert over the years for what they've done. What is it about comedians and getting to the heart of stories that journalists aren't getting to the heart of?
Well, I think that they use humor to tell us things that we already know.
And it's easier for an audience to reach it. Exactly. It's more accessible, more approachable.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's basically what's happening with these conversations. But one of the things that I think the point that he gets to is that we talk about race all the time. And in fact, since Obama was elected president, we've literally been having a conversation on race for the last 6 years. It's just that we've been sort of talking at each other and not talking to each other. And we've been talking around all these incidents that have come up. We've mentioned them all. We've talked about them all. But when you sit down and you read the interview that Frank Rich had with Chris Rock, you get a sense as to where that conversation is right now.